Live from Carborough, it's the Maggie or Hartley Show, featuring Deej on WCOM.
You girls know it's the Chris or Jenny show.
But what if it's not? And it's the Maggie and Hartley. It is.
You were on the show last week. How did that go?
Good. But it was kind of yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, because it was yesterday.
But the audience thinks it was last week.
Then it was last week.
Have you girls seen the paper hand puppet intervention?
Yeah, they came to our school.
Oh, that's right. They came to McDougal, didn't they?
Yeah.
What did you think? Did you like it?
Yeah. Yeah, they had really cool puppets.
Maggie, what was your favorite part?
The part where it touched Hartley's head.
What?
No. My favorite part was when the rat puppet sat on Miss Brown.
So
right.
The founder of that, Donovan, that's who's on the show tonight.
Cool.
What should I ask him?
Which class do you like better? Miss Klein's class or Miss Tyler's class? Miss Klein. Yeah, Miss Klein.
Well, he probably doesn't know the difference between the classes, though.
Well, our class has better entertainment, a better teacher, and friendlier people. Besides the H word and the B word. That's true.
Okay, girls, anything else before we start the show?
Good luck. Nope. Good luck. Start the show.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening, enemies, frenemies, friendos, friendishes, and radishes.
It's nice of you to join us.
Good to be here. Did I miss anything?
You did not.
No. What's it's been a... I'm not out of breath from running to get here on time. What are you talking about?
Woo! It's Friday night, Deej. It's packed on the plaza, so you can always tell when there's an event at the Art Center and also an event at Vicino and also an event at Cat's Cradle. You know why, Deej?
Because there's people.
Because it's complete mayhem. Folks are excited. They're going nuts. And I hate to stereotype, Deej, but let me tell you how I know the people coming out of the Art Center. Walkers.
Like the elderly?
Yes.
Huh.
I mean, I guess they could be rocking out to the Melvins at Cat's Cradle. I'm not going to assume they're not. Big guest coming in, hopefully, if he makes it. My idea might have backfired. So what I want to start doing is telling the guests to come a few minutes after so you and I can do a little shtick.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A little back and forth.
Yeah, a little tete-a-tete.
But maybe I shouldn't do that because if they get here and the parking lot's jammed, the whole town is jammed up. We might not see Donovan until 9:30.
Yeah, well, we can just stash him in the green room over there.
Our comfortable green room.
Yeah, with the M&Ms with all the green M&Ms taken out.
Okay, so be on the lookout for Donovan Zimmerman. Is it really necessary to put FYI in an email or a text? Aren't all emails and texts FYI?
Yeah, doesn't FYI feel like kind of what I have to say isn't that important, or I don't know. It's kind of like a diminisher or something like that. I think pretty much anything you say is for your information.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's kind of superfluous. But why do we say it? I think there's a lot of words that we throw into emails and
yeah, but then does that minimize every other text? So if the person doesn't say FYI, should I assume that
it's not for my information?
Not for my. So then what is the reason for the other texts?
I know. It's the exception that proves the rule. I get hung up on exclamation points in emails. Do you ever... I'm a period guy. Like, all right, like, thank you for the report, period. But then I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm a jerk? Like, do I put an exclamation point?
What's the maximum number of acceptable exclamation points in a 5-sentence email, Deej?
2.
2, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Jess does, Dr. J?
She's more exclamation point than woman.
5-sentence email, 17 minimum.
Yeah.
17 minimum, Deej.
I could see that.
Now,
Jess,
she is a doctor, and I barely graduated undergrad, so...
Yeah. Jess is lucky we love her for other reasons, because, man, if that's all we had to go on. Jessica.
She's exclamation point forward.
Yeah, she is.
Now, Deej, I've always been in relatively good health. That's not true. I'm in horrible health. But recently, signs of age.
Yikes.
I had to get reading glasses.
Ouch.
I can no longer... I've had 20/20 my entire life.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, just started noticing I can't read the tiny words on boxes
Anything.
of...
You can't see how much riboflavins in your kicks.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was like 13 or 14, I noticed like when I was playing baseball, I just like couldn't see the ball as well anymore. So I got glasses, and I've never even attempted to wear contacts. I just don't want to touch my eyeball. So I've always worn glasses. I think I'm the only person in our whole softball league that wears glasses on the field. Maybe 1 or 2 other people.
Did you ever consider the big rec specs? Remember the Horace Grant, Chris Sabo?
Yeah, Tom Henke.
Yeah.
I did. I never got them just because like I'm a secretor. You know, I sweat. There's just a marshland on my face anytime it's humid. So I just sort of envisaged those rec specs just steaming up and just becoming immensely less useful than not wearing glasses at all.
Would you define your sweating as profuse?
It's severe sweatiness.
Is there a better word to describe sweating than profuse?
No, there's a dew point. You notice this gigantic splint on my thumb? I broke it.
I just thought you hadn't cut your nails in a while. What happened?
Point.
Tell us. Regale us, Deej.
I was playing first base, and a teammate was blessed with the throwing arm of Thor, the god of thunder, and he threw it really hard, threw a strike right in my mitt, and it just hit my knuckle and bounced off, and it broke. I have a hairline fracture in my knuckle, so I actually had to miss the playoffs. I couldn't play in the playoffs.
Teammate of?
On the Fighting Squids.
The Fighting Squids.
Yeah, so the Squids we got bounced out of the playoffs last night, so the season's over.
Hold on, back up.
Yeah.
So we made the playoffs.
Everybody makes the playoffs.
Well, you're focusing on the wrong
Back
detail.
up. We made the playoffs.
Deej, you're focusing on the wrong
Yeah,
detail. We
we did.
made the playoffs.
Yeah, we did.
Under the tutelage of one DJ Simons.
That's me.
You're coming in hot, and then
Yep.
you sustain a thumb injury.
We were 0-11 heading into the 12th and final regular season game. And I sustained the thumb injury in like the second or third inning, but I didn't know that it was broken yet. I hit the only home run of the season.
Damn.
In the last at bat of the last game, it was a 3-run homer.
A dinger.
A dinger, and we won by 2 runs. It was like and we got that one victory. We went 1-11 instead of 0-12, which was huge. But then the next day, I noticed my thumb was gigantic and purple.
So, Deej, was it worth going yard for your only time? Now, it's not. I want to clarify, folks. It's not the only home run of this man's career.
No.
He's saying it's the only home run of the 2022
spring
season.
I hit about 1 home run a year, so when I do it, it feels pretty cool.
Well, here's what they want to know: was it worth going yard to miss the playoffs?
Yeah, I love my dingers. I feel so great when I hit them.
Yes.
It was worth it.
Folks dig the long ball.
Yes, we had a couple people we got out of the rafters to come back and help out. So yeah, everything worked out okay. No problem.
I saw Angela. So we are both
catcher.
parents of kids at McDougal. McDougal had their big block party, 25th anniversary of McDougal, Deej. There's a little history for you. 25 years of McDougal Elementary and Middle School.
Wow.
And saw Angela at the block party, and she was very sore and tired, and it was coming off of the victory that you just talked about, the last regular season victory.
Oh, that was a good day.
Big news on the McDougal front. I officially turned in my notice. It's time for me to hang up my dorsal fin. I'm going to be retired. I'm giving him a ton of notice. So.
No more squirty?
Swimmy, Deej.
Swimmy.
Squirt. That's a different costume. So here's what. So
no wonder it smelled so weird. Jeez.
So I've enjoyed being swimmy for years. Last week was the elementary school ends in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And then they have a graduation ceremony, and my daughter's in 3rd. But I was at that. Yeah, coming up. That's my point. So I was at the event as, swimming, dishing out high fives and fist bumps riling up the crowd, making people smile and laugh, and everybody was loving it. And then it dawned on me right then and there in the costume in 115-degree heat. I was like, I love this. This is awesome, but I don't want to do this at my daughter's graduation, which is in 2 years.
Yeah, coming up.
So I enjoyed the event. I got home. I immediately emailed like the PTA. Oh, and also, side note, Aisha Howard, who we also had on the show, but you weren't here.
I missed that one.
Raj
yeah.
was here. She was our principal. She is moving on. She got promoted, so we have another principal. So I only say that to say, yeah, best wishes, Aisha Howard. We love you. We want you back on in the future. I say that just to point out that, so I just let the PTA know. I was like, look, I'll give you one more year. Next year's graduation, approximately 1 year from today, will be my final day donning the dorsal fin.
Wow. This is like a before and after, like, historical mark.
I think it's fair to call it historical. I really do enjoy it, man. It is so much fun putting smiles on those kids' faces. People go nuts, but it's time to move on, Deej.
Yeah. Let someone else put on the old blowhole. So, does your daughter know that you're squirty?
It's swimmy, Deej.
Is it like Santa Claus?
Squirty's my other. So here, it's kind of like Santa. So, okay, I think that she has a hunch, and I think some of her friends know, but it's kind of a little bit like Santa Claus. It's like, I think she kind of knows, but
Swimmy Claus.
If she plays along, she gets gifts.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's kind of a
willful ignorance.
A little don't ask, don't tell situation.
Gotcha.
And the suit is pungent.
I bet.
I mean, that's a part of it.
Someone else gets to enjoy your pungence. Do you get to pick a successor? Is it like Coach K gets to pick his successor? Or is it more like the Pope?
I'd like to.
How does that work?
I'd like to have a say. Pretty much got to be a parent of a kid.
Okay.
Or a teacher. It could be a
Does it?
teacher. Most likely it would be the parent of a kid. So, and it's got to be a parent of a young kid, right? Most of my friends, or Raj included, Alan, lots of my friends their kids are third graders. That does us no good. So Jenny Cook has a parent in mind who has a kid who is a kindergartner. So that's perfect. So I'd like to groom someone. I'd like to be part of the process if they want that. But then again, I'm perfectly happy just to lay the suit down and move on. I will do as McDougal wants me to do, Deej.
Well, thank you for your many years. It's you're part of history now.
Just talked to Donovan.
Yep.
He is here. Let's have a little background music.
Yeah,
we should have more background music
ambiance.
on this show.
Yeah, it can kind of set the mood lighting.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna call him.
Okay, gonna get him on the horn.
We're gonna get him on the horn.
Gonna patch him through.
Entertain the audience while I.
Oh, jeez. All right. What's going on in the news today? Jeez, oh God, it's all awful. Just sedition and pandemic and I can't entertain the people with this news.
Yeah, you really can't.
No, all right. Well, but tomorrow at Vicino Brewing, our friend Curry Reed is doing a comedy showcase. I'm excited. I'll be there. If we've never met and you want to meet me, let's meet up there. That'll be cool.
Donovan, are you with us?
Hello.
Hey,
Donovan.
Hey.
Willkommen.
Welcome to the show.
I'm so sorry. It's great to be here. I'm so sorry about the unexpected, 10-year-old illness that I had to be with her.
No problem at all, man.
Yeah.
How's she doing?
No, she's doing good. She's just resting now. She just went to sleep just now.
Good. Can we have 20, 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you on the? Who else is on the line?
You're on with the great DJ Simons.
Yeah, it's me. Hey, Donovan, how are you?
Hey, DJ Simon.
and we
I'm doing all right.
And we have crossed paths with you before, Donovan. So a good friend of ours is Mark Levy.
Yeah.
Or is it Levy?
It's Levy.
It is Levy.
I say Levy. Yeah.
Yeah. So does he.
And he.
Yeah.
So does he and all of
Which
his.
is all that matters.
So he made that incredible movie about you and about the paper hand puppet intervention. Let's get into that. But Deej and I came to the screening.
Yeah, we were at the
Varsity Theater a couple months back.
We shared some popcorn.
Well, that was a good time, and we've done about 3 different showings at this point. About a month ago or so, we did one at the Museum of Art in Raleigh for their opening of their film series.
Donovan, let's take a step back, just for the folks at home. What is Paper Hand? Give us the Cliff's Notes.
Paper Hand is a giant puppet company that we make masks and giant puppets, and we make shadows, and we dance on stilts, and we make any thing that you might call a puppet, but even things you maybe wouldn't call a puppet. We do painted flats, and not everyone really always thinks of the things that we make as puppets right away, but definitely the giant puppets and masks are a mainstay. We do parades, and we do actions, and we do giant puppet shows that have different themes and different messages that we weave in there, and we've been doing it for 22 years.
Yeah.
And you're local out of Pittsburgh?
No, so Jan lives in Pittsburgh in the little town of Bynum.
Okay.
And I live in Saxapahaw out here on the other end of the river. We're both in little mill towns, you could say, but our studio is in Saxapahaw, and we make all the giant puppets out here and store them and do all that stuff.
I accidentally went into your makery storage facility once, so my family was canoeing on the Haw, and my wife had to go to the bathroom. And now we had been to your show before, so we we weren't totally freaked out. But they're like they're like the bathroom's that way. And so here's my wife and me and our 3-year-old at the time, and we roll into your studio, and there's nobody in there but all kinds of puppets, huge. They're massive, Deej. It was surreal just walking into that space of yours.
Yeah, you should see some of the reactions we get when people are coming up with their life jackets, and they're they're just like they got their Chaco sandals, and they're just sort of like, where? And they'll come around the corner, and it's just sort of like, I've seen people just duck, of like they think that these things are just going to swoop in and grab their hair or something. But the puppets are pretty safe. They just hang out, and we don't make evil puppets too much. We tend to just lean towards more celebrating the natural world and the beauty of this earth. But sometimes we'll slip a character in there that's maybe doing a little bit of harm. And puppetry, I think what puppetry does best in many ways is reflect humanity back to us, so that we can hopefully maybe learn something about ourselves by sort of seeing ourselves, seeing that reflection and taking a good hard look. So not all the things that you see when you are seeing that reflection back are wonderful. Some of them are a little bit like, ooh, okay, maybe that part is, but we don't go hardcore scary though. We're not on that end of the puppetry scale. There's definitely puppets out there. A lot of movies and stuff have nasty puppets that do bad things in the night, and we're just not one of those.
I feel like you put the message out there, and it's always a strong message, but you don't necessarily kind of beat people over the head with it.
Thanks. We try not to, we try not to bludgeon the audience too badly, but we do have things we want to say. But mostly, what we're leaning into as we, have been doing this for a long time is just to create a space where people can feel connected, not only to each other as a community, but we try to get people in touch with their own feeling body, so that they can actually experience some of the empathy that happens in a puppet show, because you have to sort of project your imagination into a being that you know is just paper mache and cardboard or whatever, but you project something into it, and it gives it that little bit of life, and you're able to follow along and understand its emotions. And a lot of that's informed by the music, honestly, is what the emotional sort of landscape is for that character. And it actually just kind of tricks people's brains into a little empathy feedback loop sometimes, and it's a suspension of disbelief that happens for people, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
People have religious experiences, arms in the air, tears streaming down their face, the puppets are coming towards them. It's wild to watch. I'm always deeply moved by just how into it people get,
Yeah. Another mutual friend of mine and Deej's, Billy, another good softball player too, by the way, said exactly that on this. We had Mark on this show, and he was talking about Billy, who said that, who told me that it was like a religious experience for him to come to your show. I mean, it really is amazing. Cool. And thank you for mentioning the music, because the music is amazing too. I love the music of your performances.
Yeah, we have a sort of rotating paper hand band that has had dozens of musicians over the years. We have another great lineup this year, but we've had some of the greats from around here, at least I think so. Will Ridenauer and Daniel Chambo, and we've had all kinds of, back in the day we had, you ever heard of Malin Horde? He used to play, he played some horns and stuff with like the Squirrel and Zippers for a little while.
Nice. I'll check him out after tonight.
Gabriel Pelly, who's old Ceremony fame, and Pete Lewis, who plays with Ari Picker and Dante High. We've had Ari Picker, which was amazing. He used to do Lost in the Trees. So a lot of really great musicians have come through the pit. Shauna Tucker, Beverly Botsford. It's just endless. I feel really honored whenever these people show up and go through the sweat and dusty sort of like funkiness that is a paper hand show, and just basically create this original score like in about 2 months every year we give them to just like, here's a challenge, here's we just start winging ideas at them, and they come up with an entirely original score every year. It's amazing.
It is amazing. So Donovan, when Mark comes to you, I guess this would have been 2 or 3 years ago, and says, I want to make a movie, I want to make Paper Hand Puppet a household name. But there have been movies about Paper Hand in the past. There have been movies, there have been features and things like that. What was it about Mark, and why was, I want to say now, I know what now, it was 2 years ago, but why was that the right time for you to let someone in? Because he followed you guys for, I would assume, a whole season or some period of time. Why was that the right time for you to let someone in to make a movie like Mark's movie?
Honestly, I mean, I'm just a person who believes in playing to passions, and like if people are excited about something and have a lot of passion for it, I usually encourage it wholeheartedly. So when Mark came to me at first, he was just bubbling with how much he was just turned on by what we were doing, the message, the way we were building community, the way we were trying to build culture and trying to just create like a bit of an antidote to some of the, like, I don't know, I want to use a cuss word, but I don't know if I should on the radio, but,
Deej cusses all the time. Don't worry about it.
To create somewhat of an antidote to some of the crappy or shitty sort of status quo that we get, like, mired down in and sleepwalking. And he just loved how much we were pouring into it, and it sparked something in him.
Yeah.
I could tell by, the spark in his eye that he was just like, I am just lit about this. And I was like, dude, I want you to come in, because that kind of energy is what's needed. I'm not going to go out and try and convince someone to do a documentary about us. If someone is finding our work engaging and just sort of grabbing them, I'm like, bring it. So he brought it. And he did follow us around. He had some great ideas of how to film us. And the way he edited it was just so moving and beautiful. I really love the film, and it made me see myself in a different way. I didn't even, sometimes you don't always know, how you're.
Right. No, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Spend some time with me, because he kind of sees me as a person who's really at the center of it, because my big energy kind of keeps it moving and keeps it going. But there's a lot of people who make Paper Ham what it is. It takes dozens of people to make a show each year, and
Yeah.
some of them are committed to us for years at a time, at least. Some people have done 15, 20 years. So he captured a number of folks and really caught the spirit of Paper Hand, I would say.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
I'm really proud of that film, and I hope that he can really take it far. I don't know if we're going to become a household name. I mean, we are for some people, but it's still kind of a narrow track. I mean, I'm still amazed when I meet people who haven't heard of us, who live in the Triangle. I'm just like, or haven't seen our show. I'm just like, seriously? But, that's not the ego talking. I'm just like, it just seems like, for some people, it's just like we're at the center of, somewhat of their universe here. Like the Paper Hand, people have a lot of hometown pride in it. It's become a tradition.
I just turned 42, and I remember I was at a bar, and I saw the date that you must be born on or earlier, and I could drink at that date, so I was like twice as old as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
That made me feel old.
Yeah, we've reached a point.
Yeah, all right. Say somebody sees the film and is like, wow, I want to be part of Paper Hand. And then they come to you and say, just let me be part of what you got going on. What traits are you looking for? Who fits in with you? Are you looking for kind of a creative person or a passionate person or
someone who just gets it done?
Yeah, what are you looking for? What sort of person would really complete the company?
Right now, I mean, I would love it if there's someone who, would come up to me and say, hey, I am a professional grant writer, and I want to,
bureaucracy.
I want to, pay my own salary by writing grants for Paper Hand. And we're actually becoming a nonprofit this year. That's something that we have avoided for a long time, but we just, have finally gotten to a place where I think there's no more places to go with an LLC at this time. I do think that we're missing out on a lot of grant funding because we do tons of education, we do tons of stuff in schools.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we stay working all year round. We don't just do the shows. And we also do a lot of climate justice and environmental justice awareness and social justice. So there's also tons of grant funding for that. So I would say that for one thing. But anyway, that's not the only thing. Let's not just focus on money. Definitely when people approach me and if they have a lot of passion for it, and again, when I'm looking for cast members, I'm not looking to convince someone or trick them into doing it. I want to hear someone who's just like, oh my gosh, your company, I just really want to do this, and because the energy is what carries it. The energy that we're putting in is really what, gets the show over. There's a piece of the show that you can kind of tell, we're not always super Broadway polished, but we have a pretty decent and some pretty moving shit at times, but
definitely
we are, not always super fancy. We're a little bit raw, and we got some, I think people get off on when they're watching our show, the human endeavor of the whole thing. There's 20 people up there running around, putting their hearts into it. It's really kind of moving, and it even moves me just watching the puppeteers and everybody work in sync together when I'm witnessing it, even though I'm inside of it. I'm able to kind of see how people really put their hearts into it, and I think people notice that, and it affects people, and it gives them a little bit of hope in this chaotic world.
You brought up grant writing. You brought up money. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about that, but you probably, as the main guy, you probably always have to be thinking about that because you've got folks to pay, you've got bills to pay, you've got materials, etc. You should get a grant writer. That's a great idea, by the way. But
hey, if you're out there listening, you can email me through the website, paperhand.org.
Let's go, guys. Come on, folks. Help these guys out. They're freaking awesome. So you have a kind of an army of volunteers, and you also have some paid folks. Maybe a dumb question, but what is the dividing line? I mean, obviously, you make your living from this. I'm sure Jan does as well. And I assume a handful of people at the top, this is their year-round living.
Part-time. I mean, Jan and I are the only ones making a full-time living, honestly.
Okay.
And then we have, people that we pay consistently that's kind of part-time to keep social media and, other emails and blah, 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 and administrative stuff. And we keep a few employees, at least, heads above water. I would like to get to a place, though, with the grants that we're able to pay benefits and actually make it a real thing. Because one of the trippy things about being Paper Hand is that we've been around so long. We have so much, I guess you could say, bullheaded momentum that we appear like an institution, but we're like financially a little bit like closer to just like wobbly. It's not like a real institution. It's not got foundational funding.
Yeah.
So we're just sweat of the brow for the past 22
You're not,
years, where we just work and we get gigs and we do ticket sales, and occasionally we'll get like some bigger gift from someone who just doesn't care about the tax write-off. So anyway, we're paying the puppeteers who work with us to develop the show. They start on this Sunday, actually.
Yeah.
And we pay our interns a stipend. I mean, nobody's getting rich being an intern. So,
Right.
We make it so that they can be here and have groceries and they have a place to stay.
But it's passionate. They love it, and they're passionate about it. It's obvious.
And they're wanting to learn, and they're wanting to figure out like how this is happening, because they're drawn to it, because it's like this place where all these art forms, live together.
Yeah.
Drawing, painting, sculpting, theater, art, music. That really does set something off in certain people. It did in me when I saw Bread and Puppet all those years ago when I was 19. I really literally just saw it happening, and I was 19, and I said, this is it forever. This is my thing, because I had been already practicing, art and theater and music, and I didn't even realize until that moment that it was possible for it to all be, one, big umbrella.
What would growth look like for Paper Hand? What would expansion look like? Could you franchise? Obviously, you can't franchise. I mean, it's got to be you. It's got to be Jan, at least for the next couple of years. But it's not.
Well, hey, we got a few more than a couple.
At the Forest Theater, it looks like you do 20, 25 shows, give or take.
It's 7 weekends, so it can get close, and it's been as many as 9 weekends, so it can get up to like 30 shows.
Then a couple at the North Carolina Museum of Art, a handful.
Yep. So we usually get about, I would say, between 25,000 people right now a year just coming to that show. And then we do just tons of parades and roving in festivals, all the festival stuff that we do. But we do tons of school gigs where we're doing smaller shows in there with less people, of course. We can't bring our big productions in there.
Right.
That'd be insane. And no school has that kind of money anyway.
But there's not growth necessarily. It's just financial stability. That's what a good grant or a good underwriting would provide.
Yeah, well, it would be financial stability, and it would mean actually growth, yes, because like we could easily pull off a winter show. Like we have done that several times. I don't know if you guys heard of Love and Robots and Hungry Ghost. We did these winter shows.
Really? No, I was wondering about that. I was going to ask you, what are you doing in December? And I think you're answering the question.
Well, sometimes we do these winter shows, but it's hard because you get smaller venues. You have to either charge a lot more for the tickets or
right.
It's hard to pull in enough to really make it. But it's a smaller crew, though, so you got that going for you. But it's just tricky. I would want to have more consistent, like, sort of seasoned puppeteer and puppet builders doing stuff in schools with kids. That's sort of like getting everyone on this more of a vibe of like basically centering the earth as a place of reverence. If we could slowly bend the needle towards like having that be more of like our spiritual sort of center, I feel like we could maybe even survive.
Yeah.
Let's just say, if we keep waddling around in all these other crazy, I don't know. I just find that unless we actually see the earth for the value that it is, we'll just burn it up and there will be nothing left, and it sort of spells a lot of doom and extinction for most things, not all, but probably including humans. So I mean, I'm just a part of the movement that wants to rebel against that and not accept that as like it's just sort of like what's expected or the norm.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, we can do something else, and we can do it through creativity and building imagination and imagining the future that we can have together. I would like to have more crews out in schools doing that work.
Yes.
That's sort of like about like, bringing some celebration, creating shows, creating puppets with folks that, out of using their recycled materials and cardboard and that whole aesthetic. And the schools that I have done those residencies at, I probably did like, 5 just in, this early part of this year at like Duke School and,
You were at McDougal Elementary a couple of months ago. That's where my daughter goes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That was a really fun show.
Thank you for doing that, man. You blew their minds. That was awesome.
Yeah, and for a lot of them, that was just like the first like assembly they'd had in 2 years. So
yeah,
man, there are ways that we can grow, man. I mean, we could do more shows if we, we can't just burn our cast out though by paying them, on the minimal scale and hoping that they can just be, continual performers. They all have other jobs. It's sort of like a tightrope that we're walking with, being able to bring people in at the pay that we're offering. So, I mean, more financial stability would just mean more, opportunities to do more. We would just definitely make more. We would stay, going. We would travel and do more international residencies. If we could underwrite some of that, and we've been paid really well, like 5 different times. I have to go to like England and the Virgin Islands, and I've been doing puppet residencies, internationally, and that's something I would love to, make a bigger part of my life. An artist finds himself not able to necessarily, whip together these big travels on their puppet wages. So
right.
Also, if we had grant funding, I feel like we could do more with different communities that maybe don't have as much money to put forward on the front end. We would be able to just be there through granted funding to like work more with the indigenous folks around here that we've been working with some already.
Yeah.
And Black Lives Matter groups and other groups that we're open to and excited about working with. Extinction Rebellion. The list is long. The
performance that you had at McDougal, wasn't Skajaja Fund involved in that? Were they involved in that performance?
Yeah, they were the ones who funded that. So I'm hoping to hear back from them.
Karen's a friend of mine.
Yeah, she is really cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And they knew Pierce as well, and Pierce and I are friends, and we've been working on some projects as well. And
Pierce
making some
Freelon?
Priest Freelon, that's correct.
Yeah.
Pierce Freelon.
Yeah, he's a incredible performer.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But
super good guy.
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, well, hey, DJ Simons is very deep-pocketed, Donovan, so I think you're talking to the right people here.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it, DJ.
Get in those pockets, Deej. Come on.
Yeah, I'm like Uncle Scrooge.
We're just going to keep on going. I mean, we don't know what else to do. There's no plan B, so we're just doing puppets till we fall in a hole in the ground, so bring it.
Yeah.
I'm 52, so I'm feeling kind of like officially seasoned,
Oh, yeah.
I sort of understand where we're at and am ready to meet the next 20 years with.
My daughter and I walk down our road, across the bridge, and over the Haw River. Our footsteps take us through the field, past the old barn, and into the woods. I tell her, is where the box turtle scrapes her nest. Here is where the pileated woodpeckers hollowed out their tree. Here is where the beavers build. Here is where the bloodroot grows.
What is the future of puppetry? Do you kind of see it continuing in the same analog fashion as it's, kind of been happening for the last couple hundred years? Or do you think it's going to have to adapt to technology somehow? Are kids always going to be into puppetry? Do you feel like there's any trends coming up you're going to have to adapt to? Where do you see the field in 10, 20 years?
Well, I do think that there's something that is a bit timeless to a moment where you see something being animated by a puppeteer and it comes to life for the person, and it doesn't have to be a kid. We don't certainly do stuff just for kids.
Right.
That's not really who we are.
Yeah, it's a family show.
I mean, we do stuff, and we think it's appropriate that kids are there. There's a lot of stuff that's like for kids, especially puppetry stuff, that really bugs the crap out of me. It's just like, hey, everybody, we got the puppets and blah blah blah. It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're like retelling old myths and stories and reforming them, and we're just trying to like paint in the color of dreams and like, or speak in the language of dreams, so that people are just in general like inspired and sparked towards leaning in a little bit to like doing less harm and being more engaged and more connected, but anyway, I think the future of puppetry is already happening. I mean, people are doing tons of incredible stuff technology wise, but I'm not a super huge technology guy. I mean, I have a computer and a phone and I do stuff, but I think that analog thing will never really, is kind of timeless, animating a mask, or it's actually been around for, many thousands of years. I mean, they think like masks and other forms like that of puppetry are some of the oldest art forms that humans have ever even endeavored in. Like, if you think about like ancient civilization type stuff with shamanic mask wearing, or just the different cultures, think about Africa, think about, even ancient China has all the shadow puppet stuff that goes way back. And they think that some of the shadow puppet stuff goes back to like cave dwelling people, where a story is just made more dramatic by someone standing in front of the fire and their shadows thrown up on the wall behind them.
Yeah, there's something timeless for sure about what you do.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think I need to necessarily become like a digital puppetry guy in order to like fit into this modern world. I think if you're making art that appeals, that's going to speak for itself and do its own thing. And so far, so good. I mean, it's working out okay. We're still going. We're still keeping on.
What about the inverse of DJ's question, though, Donovan? What are you doing differently now than you were doing 15, 20, 25 years ago?
I think we're just working smarter, and we've learned how to be more present and kind. When the overwhelm would kick in back in the day, it was sort of like frustration was like a go-to, and I feel like over the years, Jan and I both have refined our sort of way of just like holding a space for people to be creative in, and sort of like nurturing people in a way that is just like being supportive, not being a tyrannical director that's like, not that we were ever tyrannical, but like we maybe were a little bit more hot under the collar back in the day. I think along with this seasoning comes like more complex flavors, so you have more breadth to like be there for people and listen to them, and I don't know, not make people feel small. Right. We're about making this art together, as it's about mutually arising. To me, there's this philosophy of that all flourishing is mutual. And
Yeah.
so the more we can support each other and lift each other up, maybe the more lifted up we will be. And we can create something different, especially on a local scale. And who knows if it's a model that can be recreated in different parts of the world. It already is being. But it's the idea that it literally is the antithesis of some of the violence and the horribleness that we hear about, where it's like, let's all work together and do something beautiful and meaningful for people. And at the very least, I see it as a balm for some of the ongoing trauma that we all have to sort of face with. Just
the upcoming season starts in a few weeks. Give us the quick details on that, Donovan.
We are building our 22nd annual Giant Puppet Show,
Woo!
and it will be at the Forest Theater.
In
starting
Chapel Hill.
August
On
12th.
campus.
In Chapel Hill on campus. It starts up August 12th. All the information is at paperhand.org. We're also on Instagram and Facebook and any of the social media
TikTok?
platforms. I don't know if we're on. I don't think. I don't have a TikTok
I'm just
account. I don't know about you guys.
Friendster?
No, I'm on MySpace, Donovan.
Yeah, we're old school.
Oh.
Uh,
I've got young people who are taking care of that for me, but
yeah.
you know, I don't know if we have a TikTok presence yet.
I knew
but
they were good for
what
something.
I'm saying is, we'll run that show over at the Forest Theater until almost the end of September, and then the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September, we're at the Museum of Art in Raleigh.
Oh, cool.
And,
Listen, folks.
The show's coming
Yeah.
together. We have Saturday work days every week from 10 to 5. If you're interested and you hear this, come on out and you can just come into our open studio and slap a layer of paper mache on something or a layer of paint.
Out in
and
Saxapahaw.
out in Saxapahaw. Yes, all that information is on our website if you want to check it out.
Let me give you a plug, folks. Your kids are going to love this show. You are going to love this show. It is absolutely incredible. High recommend from the Chris or Jenny Show featuring Deej.
Cool stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, paperhand.org.
Paperhand.org.
Check 'em out.
Well, thank you, brother. We really appreciate you. Again, folks, paperhand.org. I can't recommend it enough. Donovan Zimmerman, thank you so much, man. Any last words before we let you go?
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. And hope to see you all out at the show or out at the studio.
We'll be there, man. DJ Simons, any last words?
No, I broke my thumb, and there's a lot of stuff that's kind of hard to do, like tying my shoes. I've been wearing slip-on, so if you have two thumbs, appreciate them.
Enjoy your opposable phones.
Yeah,
Thanks.
they're great.
Two thumbs all the
right.
way up.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Donovan.
Sleep well.
Yeah. Bye-bye.